Welcome to This Sustainable Life Untethered, the place where we explore mind, body, and nature and the things that hold you back from enjoying them. I am your host and adventure partner, Alison, and I'm so excited to go and explore with you. Hello, friends, and thank you for joining me today. We have a little mini solo episode today that's all about COVID because I got COVID. Woo! Or not so woo, not woo at all. Well, kind of woo. I don't know. It's really confusing. So I thought I'd write a little episode and just sort of share my thoughts and feelings and experiences about this thing, this massive thing that's been in our mind, in our public consciousness for the last 18 months, and indeed permeated every aspect of probably everyone's life. So, first of all, I know you're dying to find out, am I vaccinated? Is she anti-vax? Did she get COVID because she didn't have a vaccine? Oh, silly girl, if she did. I am vaccinated. I actually believe it's quite unlikely that you get COVID after you've been vaccinated. The Office of National Statistics rolled out some data which basically said of the people who have been vaccinated after a certain period of time, I can't remember what it was, I'll put the link in the show note, essentially less than 1% developed COVID, like a lot less than 1%. So yeah, it's quite unlikely. Vaccines are still effective in preventing it, I guess. And what we don't know is how my symptoms might have presented had I not been vaccinated. It could have been a lot worse. So interestingly, Neil, my partner who I live with, didn't get it, even though he had similar symptoms to me. He tested twice, once at home and once with the PCR test, and both were negative. So he's been wonderful, but also lauding around his superior manly immune system because he's fine. So what he has conveniently forgotten, however, is that he's had regular flu twice in the past when I've had it 0 times. So, and that's when I was like literally sleeping in bed next to him when he was all sweaty and ill and breathing in the same gross air, and I didn't get it. So really our stats are 2-1 to me, and counting. So yeah, unlike other sicknesses, I actually think that it feels quite significant because of the status that COVID has had, in the press. And weirdly, I don't often say this, but well, in fact, I never say this, but it feels quite violating. I don't normally feel violated when I'm sick, but there's something about the story, the narrative, COVID being public enemy number 1, that being ill feels a lot more nefarious and exciting, but in a bad way. I've been quite lucky in that my symptoms haven't been too bad, essentially like a bad cold with a cough and fatigue, like definitely suffering with tiredness and energy levels. At the moment, I'm on day 10 of my symptoms since they started, and I'm still kind of not got my energy levels back where they were before. And interestingly, I lost the majority of my sense of smell, which was really bizarre. I could still smell some things or certain notes of things, but certainly like I was sniffing garlic and being like, why, Neil, can you smell this garlic? Does this smell of garlic? Why can't I smell this garlic? What's going on with my nose? Yeah, and that was really weird. And I could taste food still, but it tasted slightly different. It's really difficult to explain. Obviously the two senses are really linked together. But luckily, touch wood, my smell seems to be coming back. Lol, I've always been stinky. Luckily, my sense of smell seems to be coming back slowly. So fingers crossed. You've never seen a person more grateful to open a jar of coffee and sniff that coffee and the cinnamon on the porridge. Oh, it's been a joy and delight. Like, having smell is really, we take it for granted for sure. So having COVID has made me feel actually very deeply grateful. I don't at all feel sad or frustrated. I just feel so appreciative that my experience wasn't worse and that I didn't appear, I don't think, that I've passed it on to anyone else. That was definitely a worry of mine with my mum and dad now living really close and I see them really often. I thought that if I made them ill without realizing, then that would just be diabolical. But luckily, even when I thought it was just a cold, when that first test came back negative, I still chose to stay home. So I'm super duper so grateful for that, like unbelievably. Because, you know, I could have easily been sitting down and recording this podcast and telling you more tragic stories. So I'm so grateful because it didn't have to be this way at all. I'm so grateful, in fact, it's made me all poetic. And so I've written a little poem / letter that I'm going to share with you because why not? Do you know what? If you can't share your own poetry on your own podcast, then when can you? So yeah, it goes something like this. Dear COVID, we finally meet. You've been stalking me for the last 18 months, you cheeky sod, but your persistence appears to have paid off. Your presence reminds me of a quote from the Shakespeare play Macbeth. Is this a dagger which I see before me, the handle toward my hand? Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. Coronavirus version. Is this the virus that we seek not to find? The one that has locked down nations and caused devastation? Uninvited, yet I have thee inside me. I feel both relieved and yet afraid. You snuck in under my radar after I spent the weekend partying at a festival. At first glance, you looked just like the common cold. I tested anyway, but you're a cheat as well as a deviant, and I was lulled into a false sense of security. I stayed away from people nevertheless, not wanting to give anyone this cold. But you couldn't contain yourself, could you? You greedily forced yourself into my lungs, and so when I started coughing, I knew I had to double check with a more accurate test. On the day of the second test, the clock struck 7, 8, 9, and so on. For 12 hours, I was in limbo. But on the 13th, first thing in the morning, the notification came. My sleepy eyes blinked through the words. I've tested positive. Well, 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 you sly dog. It's on. My body draws its weapons. 2 vaccines, a still young-ish immune system, and a whole lot of hope. You draw yours, your destructive code, and the ability to copy yourself thousands of times, cleverly creating an army of sickness. I, Alison, can do nothing. A nano maelstrom is ripping through my insides, but I am largely impotent to help. I try and support my body with rest and nutrition, but really, I am in her skillful hands now. It's up to her. It's a deeply humbling feeling to surrender to the higher intelligence of your own body, to have faith in a system that you don't even understand and trust that it will help you even after years of abuse and criticism. Please do help me after years of abuse and criticism. Right now, I am beyond thankful for this perfect body and that my symptoms appear to be not so severe. I don't know what you want from me, COVID. I don't know how you end, but I watch and wait and live in hope that you never return again. It all sounds very dramatic and exciting. And actually, I've been watching a couple of instructional videos, educational videos on YouTube, and I so recommend this one. It's actually brilliant. That tells you all about how your immune system works, but it characterizes it like you're in a proper battlefield with soldiers, with roles and suicide cells, and it's just bloody brilliant. I'm not even going to attempt to say the name because it's German. It's German and I don't want to offend many millions of people, but I'll put the link in the show notes and highly recommend you watch it. Well, I hope you enjoyed a little mini solo episode that's all about my experience of COVID. I hope that you are well and safe, and the people you love are well and safe as well. It's just such a lottery, really. And that's the thing that's so worrying about it. You just don't know how you're going to react, how it's going to go. So right now, whatever's going on for you, I have love and joy and peace for you. And I wish you all the health and happiness in the world. Come on over to social media if you want to chat more. I am on Instagram at alison.untethered, Twitter, Ali Untethered, Facebook, This Sustainable Life, TSL Untethered. I love to hear from you. Love to hear your thoughts. Tell me about what's going on for you, how you feel about COVID. Write me a COVID poem. I love it. It's very cathartic to write poetry. And do you know the best thing? It doesn't even have to be good. When it's a poet, you can just it's art. It's just creative. It's my creative expression. So yeah, write a poem. And thank you for sharing this time with me today. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you next time.